Hey guys, how are you going? So I've been getting a question quite a lot, and that question is, alright, so we know that the 4 metals are coming, and we know that Kairi EX is coming as well. If you haven't seen my video about those metals that are coming out in the future, I'll leave a link to that one in the description. But basically, they are very, very, very important metals, and we're going to need to save for them. At least a lot of the free-to-play players should be definitely keeping in mind that if you want to have a chance of getting these things in the future, we're going to have to start saving now. So I thought, why not do a video on roughly how many jewels we're going to get between now and the time when these metals actually start coming out. So you can see here I've got the dates when each of these metals started to come out. So top left there we've got Ava in HD. All these metals are EXs, by the way. So yeah, Ava EX came out on September the 4th, and it also came out alongside the third batch of EX metals, which was the Sora and Riku illustrated Kingdom Hearts 2 version. So the bottom two down there, we have, is it Gula and Aced, came out on September the 7th. I'm just going to skip Kairi for a second and talk about Era and Envy, who came out on the 25th. So basically every single one of those medals came out in a banner where there was like 2 banners side by side. Basically you'd have a 15 pull mercy for each of the banners, and the 15 pull mercy would guarantee you the one that you were pulling for by the 15th pull, if not before. But it also had the chance of giving you the opposite medal as well. So for example, these 2 banners came out alongside each other in the Japanese version. You could do your 15 pulls for this one right here, but while you were pulling for it, not only this, but also this had a chance to appear as well. So they were kind of interesting banners, and I don't know if our version is going to be the same when it comes to that, like in terms of the mercy. I kind of think it won't be, and there's a couple reasons for that. Let's say, for example, when Cloud EX came out in the Japanese version, it was a 20 pull mercy to 60,000 jewels to guarantee 1 copy of Cloud EX. That didn't happen in our version. In our version, it was a straight up regular banner where it was just pull until you get him, or in most people's cases, don't get him. I don't know why, but I can't see us having a series of mercy pulls for when these medals launch in our version, but I could be completely wrong about that. I don't know, at the very least, 15 seems a little bit too high, just because we get, well, we don't get far less anymore, but we do tend to get less jewels than the Japanese version. In the Japanese version, all the EX medals also come with come with 5 dots already filled in, so you need literally just 1 Mickey and Broom if you want to guilt them. In our version, they only come with 3 dots, so you could say they're less valuable, I suppose, in a way. But only in terms of Mickey and Brooms, which are a lot rarer in our version, meaning it's more likely that you can either pull 2 copies of the EX medal in our version, which will allow you to guilt it, or spend 3 Mickey and Brooms. So it's yeah, it's gonna be tricky to guess what we're gonna have in our version, but at the very least, we're gonna have to save up a lot of jewels. In the Japanese version, there, illustrated Kairi EX came out in a falling price deal. So, oh boy, you've heard me go on and on about how ridiculously broken this medal is, and if there's nothing else in this entire game to save for, like I know I say pretty regularly, save up your jewels for X, for Y, whatever, but this is the one. Like if you want to hear me ranting about it again, check out that other video. But if you need a recap on what she does, basically she fills out all your buffs across the board, your general attack, power, speed, and magic stats, does a significant debuff to general defense and PSM as well as restores some gauges, gives you a heal, and introduces a new type of buff, which is the upright metal buff, providing a buff to all metals of the golden background there, the upright metals. Presumably that means that there will be some sort of reverse buff coming soon as well. And who knows, it could be an equally broken metal, like I don't know, what's an evil female character, I don't know. Or at least a reverse female character, I don't know, Shion, but Shion's already got plenty of medals already. Anyway, oh gosh, we're going to have to save up for Kairi, okay? If I can see any of them being a mercy, funnily enough, I think I can see it being Kairi, just because our version of the game likes to keep the power in check, if you know what I mean. At least like have a consistent level of power. And I say that because like, alright, when they introduce every single time they introduce a Kairi, it's either a 10 pull mercy or a 5 pull mercy. Like way back in Illustrated Kingdom Hearts 1 Kairi, a 10 pull mercy, and then KH2 Kairi, a 5 pull mercy, 0.2 Kairi, a 5 pull mercy, I know it wasn't I know that was the same in the Japanese version, and then they immediately broke that and had this one be a falling price deal, but just to save themselves the complaints, I kind of feel like it could be a Mercy in our version. Probably not a 5, probably not even a 10, potentially a 15, but I don't know, I just feel like our version's going to play it differently to the Japanese. I could be completely wrong. Anyway, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how many jewels we're going to be saving up between now and then. And if you want to have a set market in place, you're like, all right, I want to have 30,000 or 45,000 jewels by the time, let's say, Ava comes out. Just in case they do a 15 pull Mercy, then you can guarantee a copy of her. Again, they might not, but just for your own, if that's the goal you want to set for yourself, I'm trying to provide information on how to do that. I'm going to be pretty conservative in terms of the amount of jewels. Like, I don't want to overestimate. I'd rather underestimate, so you be, pleasantly surprised, or, have room to make, like, YOLO purchases here and there if you have additional jewels, but let's get into it. Okay, so where are we right now? Okay. Just for context, the last medal that we had released was this Simba medal right here. So it's been out for a week. It was released in the 6th of October in our version, with the global or North American, whatever you want to call it, version. And in June it was released in in Japan, it was released on the 23rd of June. So that puts us roughly 3.5 months behind. So if we look at that in context of these medals right here, if we add 3.5 months to these medals right here, we're pushing into December and even into the new year. I feel like they're going to rush us forward. We have been seeing them rushing us forward quite a lot. The evidence for that is that when they started releasing the second batch of EXs, which were Sephiroth, Shion, and Roxas EX, in the Japanese version, it took 2 months, roughly, from Sephiroth EX to be released until Shion EX. In our version, it was like, bang, 10-day banner for Sephiroth, 10-day banner for Roxas, 10-day banner for Shion, with little to no gap in between, so in that case, they definitely did rush us. But then they go ahead and introduce this Simba banner, which is a falling price deal, and it's lasted a week, and it's like, what? Like, maybe they were trying to get as much money out of the people that they knew would pull as possible, I guess, because if they spaced it out a long time, people would have a little bit of time to save up, and I don't know, maybe they were like, the only way we're going to get, maybe like the best way for them to get money out of the Shion EX banner was to make the time frame as small as possible. Like, everyone goes ahead and spends tons of jewels on Sephiroth, right? And then you only have a week. And then immediately Roxas comes out, and people are like, oh crap, we're going to pull for Roxas. And then immediately Shion comes out, and it's like, the really big spenders don't have any time to save up at all. Don't have time to do, like, the economical VIP purchases. They're pretty much, and build those up. They're pretty much forced to dip into their wallet and pay for the big bucks, pay for the big jewel packs if they want to, pull for those big medals. So that would be my assumption as to why they're doing it, but who knows? And, now we're into a slowdown. We're into a slowdown now, but when the next batch of EXs comes out again, I don't know, they could rush through them again, who knows? But I would put my estimate as to when we are going to catch up to these medals. Worst case scenario, probably 2 months. Best case scenario, maybe 3 months. So I've given estimates for a rough, for a 2-month window and a 3-month window until we start seeing these medals. So hopefully this information is helpful. It's just my best guess anyway, but here we go. Alrighty, so we get some guaranteed sources of income, let's say. If you're up to date on all the content that is currently out, the only way we're going to be getting jewels in the future is from, new story updates, new Proud updates, new Union Cross, daily logins, all that kind of stuff. But what I'm saying is, if you've currently farmed absolutely every single jewel there is to get in the game, these are how many you have to look forward to in the future. Okay. So in terms of story updates, right above my head right now, this whole column up here is all the batches of story updates that the Japanese version has received. And in this column right here are the quests that give you jewels. Every single time you see a number there, it's 250 jewels that are given out. So if we come over here and total up all the columns and then add them all together, you can see that to catch us up to the story mode in the Japanese version, we'll be getting 3,250 jewels. Interestingly to note, you take a look at batch number 726 to 730 there. In that case, every single other time, no matter how big or small the story update was, there were always 3 quests that awarded you 250 jewels. Even like this one right here, which is a 5 quest batch, it again gave you jewels very, very quickly, like 2 quests, 2 quests, and then 1 quest. It was jewels, jewels, jewels. Now, I don't know if that was because 726 to 730 came out in the same month as 716 to 725. And they were just like, alright, we'll just put out an additional update. And so like these were all the jewels for that month in terms of story. I don't know. Yeah, that's that's pretty much it. So Ava definitely came out like around this area right here, around like the 716 to 730 kind of mark. So we won't be getting the full amount of those story jewels by the time the first lot of EXs rolls around. But that's all the jewels you're going to be getting from the story mode. And same with Proud Mode. Proud Mode comes out every single month. So again, we're 3 months behind. So 3 batches of Proud Mode quests. Every single time we get a batch of Proud Mode, we get 25 new quests. And every 5 quests, we get 150 jewels. So basically every batch gives us 5 lots of 150, which is 750. So again, add them all up. Oops. Bang, 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 bang. To 2,250 for the Proud Mode. Again, to catch us all up. Again, Ava started getting released between this one and this one, so it's not going to be the full amount of jewels we get before Ava, but again, it's another rough estimate. Okay, moving on. So, the weekly jewel events are a little bit confusing. Let's put me over there. Because in the past, in our version of the game only, like in the Japanese version, they get 200 a day. They've had that for quite a long time. That's pretty much set in stone. In our version of the game, for the longest time, they had set a precedent where 3 out of the 4 weeks, let's call a month 28 days, 4 weeks. They had set the precedent before where 3 of those 4 weeks were always going to be some sort of gauntlet quest or raid event or just a typical do the quest, get event coins, some sort of way of getting roughly 200 jewels a day, sometimes more but never less. So minimum 200 jewels a day. The only exception was the raid week, not the raid week. The raid week. In the raid week, they would never have a weekly jewel event during that time. So that was pretty much the way it was for quite a long time. Every now and then you'd have gauntlets as well, where gauntlets would come out and you'd have 4 batches of quests being released during the week. You'd have like a beginner tier, an intermediate tier, advanced, and expert, I think was the order, but whatever. 4 tiers. And the bottom tier, or each of the tiers would have 4 quests inside them. So on day 1 you get this little beginner one down here. Sorry if that's a terrible way of describing it. This beginner one down here would have you 4 quests inside and they'd be worth 20 jewels each. And then they double. This batch here would have 4 quests worth 40 jewels each, worth 80 jewels each, worth 160 jewels each. So every single time you do the quest, you double the reward and you'd end up with roughly, 1,200-ish or so. So not quite the full 1,400 amount, but still a pretty decent amount. For whatever reason, the last 2 gauntlets that we've had have had the same structure, the same 4 tiers, released, a couple days after each other, but they've only kept the base amount of jewels, so it's been 20 jewels per quest, 20 jewels per quest, 20 jewels per quest, 20 jewels per quest. That's an error. That's a massive error on their part, I feel like. Like, people in Discord were chatting with me going, no, that's intentional because this one up here gives you gems, and I was like, yeah, but the previous ones did that as well. The only difference is, and like part of my reasoning for the reason I think that's an error, they just forgot to double it, is because this tier, this tier, this tier all give out the same reward, even though they're beginner, intermediate, and advanced challenges. That doesn't make any sense for a high difficulty of content to give out the same reward, does it? That doesn't make any sense to me. So I feel like that's an error which they can easily fix. They can easily just go, okay, every time we have a gauntlet challenge, we just actually have to check and make sure we increase the amount of jewels rewarded. So hopefully, I've got my fingers crossed here. The assumption I'm making here is that we'll go back to the previous structure that we had, because we have had that for the last two weeks, where we can basically guarantee 1,400 jewels every single week for 3 weeks in a month. So if we take 1,400 jewels times 3, that's what, 2,800 to 4,200. So my estimate down here is like 4,200 a month. Worst case scenario, 2,000. Again, if they do somehow 2 gauntlet challenges in a month and only give us 300 jewels a week, 320 I think it was, then that's a really worst case scenario, but I'm going to go ahead and assume it's going to be 4,200 again. I hope. Worth mentioning here as well, the daily logins have increased to 900 every 5 days, so we get 100, 100, 200, 200, 300, which is 900 over 5 days. Okay, so other ways of getting jewels, and it's a little bit harder to estimate here because they do tend to vary. We have things like maintenance that pops up out of nowhere. We have errors. We have Twitter challenges, retweet challenges, whatever, what have you. So again, it's a conservative estimate, not including any of those, but there could very well be some additional jewels that we get that I'm not going to list here. But anyway, things like login milestones. I know that I'm about to hit day 500 in a month, and that's going to give me 500 jewels, I'm pretty sure. People with younger accounts will probably get a few more milestones. I think they have them more frequently than every 50 days. And people with older accounts, obviously I don't have an older account than that, so I can't say what's likely to happen at day 600 or 700 or whatever, but maybe I could assume it's going to be like 500 every 50 days. That makes sense to me. Organization 13 event. Tomorrow, in fact, we should be seeing Luxord B, and if we can do every single quest in there, it's going to be 260 jewels. I've got minor crap written there. Basically what that means is like just tiny little bits and pieces, like the weekend raid event, where the weekend raid event, if you summon the raid boss just once, you get 30 jewels the first time you do that. The monthly raid event, you get 100. Stuff like when we get the Fairy Stars Adamantite Ore quests, I think we'll get 30 jewels for each little quest inside there, so there's another 150 on the pile. I'm not going to include this stuff in my final total just because it's like minor stuff that'll be a bonus, I suppose. Okay. The Hades Cup. So please correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe the Japanese version has had 3 Hades Cups by now, whereas we've only had 1. So we should be looking forward to at least 1 before the EX medals, the Foretellers and Kairi drops. So that's another 6,000 jewels if we can complete all the content. So people with newer accounts may not have that, unfortunately, if you don't have the power to complete the quests. If you've set aside, alright, because obviously we're still at the point now, as of the time of recording this video, where if you re-roll a new account, you're going to get 15,000 jewels in that account. I've seen people, and I've kind of thinking about doing it myself, rolling a couple of accounts now, going just as far enough to get the 15,000 jewels, and just sitting on them, and just sort of sitting on them until until the Foretellers or potentially even Kairi EX gets released, so that rather than re-rolling and re-rolling and re-rolling once they are actually out, you'll have an additional 15,000 jewels. You'll have an additional 15,000 jewels to re-roll with when the time comes, because I highly doubt they're going to give us another 15k just because Kairi drops. It's probably not going to happen. Okay, so there should be at least one more Hades Cup coming before the EX medals drop, and potentially one dropping as the EX medals come out. So I'm just going to say one lot of 6,000 for now, but bear in mind, by the time Kairi EX comes out, or by the time her banner is active, we could potentially have another 6,000 up for grabs with another Hades Cup. Alright, let's start adding this crap up. So again, I'm going to sort of do the confirmed stuff and leave out the sort of ancillary additional jewels, the minor stuff. Okay, so adding up all the story, all the proud, and one Hades Cup, that's 11,500 jewels. And then again, on the side here, I've got a 2-month estimate and a 3-month estimate. Sorry, it's a little bit hard to say. Basically, the top of that divider is 2-month and the bottom is a 3-month estimate. Okay, so I mentioned that we're getting 900 every 5 days from our daily logins. So 900 times by 4 for a month is 3,600. So 2 months is therefore 7,200. 3 months is 10,800. Bear in mind that's a low estimate based on a 28-day month. So in fact, we will actually get more than that. But again, I think low estimating is better, just in case they come out early. Union Cross. So every single week, pretty much every week, we get 4 new Union Cross boards, each containing 80 jewels. So it's 320 jewels a week, roughly, for Union Cross. Sometimes we do have less if we have a 2-week event. I don't believe they have like 8 boards. Sometimes they do, sometimes they only have 6. So this might be a little bit of a high estimate here. But I'm just saying, based on an average of 320 jewels a week, extrapolate that out over a month is, what, 320, 640, 1280, so 1,280 jewels over a month. Again, a 4-week month is what I'm basing it on, so again, that's kind of a low estimate again. Just sort of balancing out my high and low estimates here. Anyway, so extrapolate that out to 2 months, 2,560 jewels. 3-month estimate, 3,840 jewels. And again, the weekly events, again, basing it on 1,400 jewels a week, we're going to say 1400 times by 3 is 4200. So 4,200 joules a month from the a month. So basing that over 2 months, 8,400 over 3 months, 12,600. Bah. Okay. So basically, I'm saying taking the guaranteed 11,500 joules, adding that to the 2-month estimate gives us roughly 30,000 joules. Adding that to the 4-month estimate gives us roughly 40,000. Okay. Oh, boy. I believe Kairi EX will come out probably 2.5 months to 3 months from now, giving us roughly 40,000 joules if we save every single penny and obtain every single jewel possible from now until the time she comes out. So if it is a Mercy, if it's a 10 pull Mercy to get her, and you save like crazy, you should be able to afford her, right? But bearing that in mind, if it's a 10 pull Mercy, you can maybe do a couple of pulls here and there. Okay. If you have 0 joules right now, zero joules right now, and you can do a 10 pull Mercy. Sorry, I'm getting lost in my words. I've been talking for 20 minutes probably. Let's just pause. I'm so sorry, guys. I can feel my mind like leaving my head, going like, you've been talking for way too long. I've run out of brain power. So what I've been trying to say now is, take a good estimate of what you think you want to accomplish. Do you want to save up enough jewels to do a potential 15 pull Mercy for one of the 4 elementals? Do you want to have, let's say that the Kairi EX banner isn't a falling price deal, how many pulls do you want to be able to afford for her? This is the really, really tricky part, because if she's not a guaranteed Mercy, you could save up, let's say you've got 20,000 right now, you could save up 40,000 jewels for the next 3 months, do 20 pulls on that banner, and get nothing. You could get completely screwed over. That's the nature of this game. It's the really, really horrible thing, and it's why I pretty much only encourage doing Mercy pulls, especially for free-to-play players. It's tough. It's really, really tough to have all this planning and forethought and then go into a banner and just get completely screwed over by the random luck nature of the game. Whereas people that don't do any savings at all could just have 3,000 joules, do 1 YOLO pull, and bing bang boom, there you go. They've got a Kairi, and it's like, I've been saving up 60,000 joules and I didn't get her. It's ridiculous. It's the reason people were so pissed off during the initial HD Namine banner. So when she was first released, she was a 5 pull Mercy in the Japanese version, and a falling price deal over here. People had saved up the 15,000 joules, expecting something to happen that happened in the Japanese version, and even though there was no guarantee, the expectation was sort of there, people were let down, and people were furious. So, I don't know, I think the people that make our game watch what happens and watch our reactions to things. So saying that, they're well within their rights not to make it a Mercy pull for Kairi EX, because there's no precedent set by the Japanese version. We have no right to get our expectations up. But just the way our version releases, like, okay, you missed out on 0.2 Kairi, you missed out on Kingdom Hearts 2 Kairi, here you go, here's another 5 pull Mercy banner, here's another banner, here's 15,000 joules and a 5 pull Mercy for 0.2 Kairi right after. We want you to be caught up. If I can see anything happening, I can see them doing a Kairi EX when they initially released it with no Mercy, and then perhaps a little bit later on, once it's been depowered a bit, and once, you know, more broken bloody buffers have come out, then they'll do a Mercy then. I can see that happening. Like, once they've released all the other EXs as re-releases, I can see them doing a Mercy pull then. So, it's tricky, guys. Anyway, I want you guys to make up your own decisions. There are other sources of jewels to be coming in, like the Japanese version had the illustrated Moogle banner, where once a day you could pull from this illustrated Moogle banner, and if you happen to get one of those little medals at the end of the month, you were rewarded with 1,000 jewels for every single one of those that you had, and you were gonna get, like, if you pulled every single day, you would get a minimum of 3,000 jewels from that banner. Who knows if we're going to get that sort of stuff here as well. The Japanese version does tend to get random, like, little influx of jewels from time to time, like quizzes. They get these little quiz events where you have to solve a maze based on the answers to your knowledge of, like, the Kingdom Hearts series, for example, or whatever. And we haven't really seen any of those in our version yet. That isn't to say they won't happen. And again, like I said, we could get Twitter events, we could get whatever. But hopefully this is giving you some thought in terms of, like, your planning out how many jewels do I want to have by the time these medals start to be released. Again, 15 pull Mercy in the Japanese version, so to be safe, you probably want to have at least 30 to 40, 45,000 jewels, honestly, if you really want to mercy pull a foreteller. But saying that, there's no guarantee it's going to be a mercy in our version, and you could waste every single jewel and not get it. That's the really horrible part about our game, unfortunately. There's going to be some tempting stuff coming up along the way. There's going to be Riku EX, Malusha EX, and Sora and Riku Kingdom Hearts 2 EX. A lot of those will come, well, all of those will come with their own 5-pull mercies as well for some pretty cool medals. Sorry, Sora and Riku won't. There's going to be plenty of stuff to tempt you, so hopefully this will help you out and think, okay, if I want to do a couple of YOLO pulls here and there, or buy an avatar board here and there, roughly how many jewels can I afford to YOLO spend, and still have my minimum amounts needed, or that I want, by the time these EX medals come out. Anyway, I've started to ramble. If you guys can think of any other sources of jewels that I've missed, please let me know. I'm positive that I've missed some. And yeah, let me know what your plan is. How many jewels are you planning on saving before the foretellers come out? What sort of banner do you think we'll see when they get released over here? I mean, I was talking to some people on Discord, and it's like, there's no guarantee they'll be released in the same format of, you know, the two banners side by side. The foretellers could come out in one massive foreteller banner, to be honest, and you could have a tiny little pull rate for each foreteller. It could happen. There could be anything, you know, we don't know. Or they could be released individually. They could be released one week over, you know, 5 weeks, or who knows? Who knows? But anyway, let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Has this video been useful? Let me know. Yeah, all the best, guys. I'll see you tomorrow for Luxord B. All right, all the best. Bye.